Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Roadshow Podcast. Today's episode is with guest, science communicator, marine biologist, Kurt Krispyn. In this episode, we dive deep into estuary health and the vital role it plays in our ecosystems and the hidden threats they face due to hypersalinity and pollution. Kurt sheds light on education and how furthering this awareness can change for the betterment of everybody, and why science communication can bridge the gap between research and the public. Get ready for a thought-provoking episode which connects our estuaries, science, community, and the future of this planet.
Welcome to the Roadshow Podcast.
Kurt.
Hello.
Hey man, how are you?
I am fantastic.
Thanks for coming in and doing this. I've had some interest for a while now about marine life and what is going to happen in the foreseeable future, or like even hypothesizing on it. And it does get me wondering. So tell me what you do, tell the people what you do, and who you are, I guess.
Yeah. Well, first I want to say thank you for bringing me on. This setup is absolutely incredible, and it's very cool to be on the other side of a mic. So as probably what we'll find out in a second is that what I do as a job is I'm a marine scientist or marine ecologist, probably specialise in more fish ecology and estuarine ecology. But alongside that, I'm a science communicator. So I film a lot of the research that I do, and then I put that out online, and hopefully we'll be starting to make some documentaries and things soon as well. And then I also host a podcast. So that's called Paramount Importance. And so within that podcast, I talk all things science and every topic from astrophysicists, the ones that come out this week. I don't know when this episode will come out, but spoke to a sexologist and then recorded one today about spiders.
Yeah, right.
So we cover everything in that, and
hopefully the two are not on the same podcast. Sex and spiders, fuck all of that.
No, exactly. I think like there's so many mind-blowing things in that episode, but spiders, one of the ways they move around, or particularly this family of spider, like flies. So they as they're like when they're little babies, they will like shoot out like a little bit of web. They'll climb up into a high place or a high tree. They'll put out a little bit of web and they'll wait for the wind to catch it, and then they'll just fly away, and they'll just go wherever. And sometimes they can cover some very, very large distances, from like traveling from island to things like that. So there's and it's in
Google that shit right now.
This is in Australia too. Yeah.
As if. What is it called? Mary Poppins theory?
It's not even a theory. No, it's full. It'd be one of the orb spiders. I literally
do they
just
create an orb, or is it just?
No,
because that would be like a balloon.
No, there's so many crazy adaptations that they do and how they move around. So it's not the golden orb spider. That's like one of our biggest spiders we have.
That's like your common garden spider, right?
Yeah. The one that makes big. That's just the female.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What do the males do?
They're really little. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
And yeah, well, most
short kings.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So like the males are little, and they've made such cool little adaptations to like not be eaten by the female. Wow. So like most females will try and eat the male, so the males will sometimes like bound them up in web, or they'll quickly mate and run away like really fast, or they what were some of the other ones? Oh, they had talked about this. I'm forgetting the scientific language that they used in the podcast, but talked about they described it like a lock and key, how they would, when they mate with the female, they'll like break off essentially one of their sexual organs inside, and it sort of stops other males from mating
like
with that
butt
female.
Plug.
yeah. Like that.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it was extremely fascinating. So that's what I get to do with that job. It allows me to talk to multiple different sciences in different fields and learn things. And the more I've gone down that path, the more I learned there's a lot of connectivity between the different sciences. Not so much, let's say, sexology and spiders, but especially in the environmental field where I've talked about the soil microbes and how that connects to plants, to the environment around. Then you start talking about the atmosphere, and all that similar theories with astrophysicists and I guess biological physicists or scientists and things. So yeah, it's extremely fascinating, and for me, it's like on the personal level, like learning more about the environment can paint a greater picture for what I can learn and hopefully make an impact to try to save. Like you can get sometimes very focused on a topic and then not see what's happening around you, or in an environment for instance. So yeah, I think the more we can learn, everything starts with education, right? Like if you don't know something, or if you can't conserve it or anything like that. But if you can form opinions with very little information, but the more information you have about something, the more ways you can maybe figure out how to conserve something or change your ways or something like that. So yeah.
The hardest thing I would imagine is application, right? After the science and research has been done, it's like the application of change.
Mm-hmm.
Are we like in our current waters that surround Australia, are we seeing more beneficial actioning, or are we seeing more degradation? Because I know that what is it? What's in the Gold Coast, the Coral Bay?
Great Barrier Reef.
Great Barrier Reef. Like 55% of it's dead or some shit.
Yeah. So it had a huge impact from some coral, like the heat waves that's been happening across like that. So it's in terms of. So you're talking about whether the climate or the waters around it are degrading slowly, or are they slowly improving? And it depends how broad a scale you want to look on things. Like there's been huge conservation efforts in certain areas, and there's positive improvements from there. But probably overall, our main impact is like climate change, that's impacting environments in so many different ways. Like in some instances, the climate change could actually help certain ecosystems, but very very small amount of them, or they would change them to a certain different thing, like with certain estuaries with climate change. So
are you talking about natural climate change or inflicted by humans?
Inflicted by humans. So right, because climate change is like the warming of the climate is being sped up by humans,
like carbon emissions and whatnot.
Yeah. We're seeing like huge the oceans are warming, which are changing so many different things. Like it's a very big box to unpack.
Yes.
Let's unpack. Yeah. Well, I'm not a climatologist, but we can see effects like straight away with in terms of just if we go to estuarine space, which is where I focus on, like we're getting the big reductions of rainfall, and that impacts estuaries in so many different ways. So for permanently open estuaries like the Swan, the Peel, and all that, when that has a reduction of rainfall, there's less flow in there, and because estuaries act like a sink of nutrients. All right, so I'm going to take a step back and tell you how like a catchment works. Mm-hmm. So if you imagine yourself as a rain droplet, right, and if you land wherever you fall in that surrounding land, you would eventually end up in an estuary, and that is called the catchment. So for example, the Swan River's catchment is like 2 or 3 times the size of Tasmania. It's huge. Right? It's massive.
Yeah.
And that's so essentially everything that's like falls in that catchment will end up into the Swan River. Mm-hmm. So if you imagine that surrounding land, there's a lot of like industry. We've obviously got the Perth City here. There's a lot of farmland. There's a lot of just general houses, and a lot of pollution and nutrients will end up into the Swan River. Now, all that nutrients, when that builds up, that can cause huge issues. You can get eutrophication, which is like the build up of nutrients, build up of algae, and then that can cause deoxygenation. That takes all the water, oxygen out of the water. So
is that due to fermentation?
No.
Okay.
No. Right. This is respiration and photosynthesis.
Okay, right.
And the biodegradation of like organic matter and things like that.
Okay.
In there. So
right.
When everything needs air to breathe, all living animals.
Yeah.
And so when you get the oxygen taken out of the water, so respiration, during respiration, oxygen is used to create carbon. So it's like the opposite to photosynthesis, right? Okay. That's just the way that they get energy at nighttime. And so
how does respiration work?
So respiration. So when algae, photosynthesis is using sunlight to produce glucose and energy, and it's like then one of the things they emit is oxygen. Mm-hmm. Respiration is like taking the oxygen out and then building that to make it energy. Well, I'm going to get scrutinized for this for getting probably this wrong.
It's fine.
But yeah, and then that produce like carbon in back out. I think the opposite way. In that, it's just so they can without sunlight they can still survive and produce energy.
Okay.
And so that's if you've got like a higher level of nutrients or like algae and other things in that water you can lose a lot of that in there. So that, and because of reduction of flow, so you're getting like stagnant water. So all that nutrients that is flowing into the catchment will end up in the estuary, and it will stay there, and then provides those algal blooms and things like that. Then that will be in effect. So that's could be one of the major influences that's be happening from climate change in your permanently open estuaries, also in estuaries that don't open to the ocean.
Wow. So it's the decaying of algae and other decaying matter as well?
That's one of the impacts in there. So it's like...
How do you improve the flows?
Well, can you make it rain?
In Dubai, they can.
Well, there is some science, getting put in towards that. Yeah. I don't know how successful they are with making it rain. Well, I know you can do cloud seeding and things.
Yeah.
But there's the...
They done fucked up though, right? Because they used too much cloud seeding, and then they didn't have the water drain infrastructure. And that's how they got the flooding. You see all these Lamborghinis floating down. Have you seen that?
No, I have not seen that.
Look up flooded Dubai. It's just Lamborghinis and Rolls Royces just flooded, drifting away. Yeah, because they did too much cloud seeding because they wanted it like, paradise in the desert. But if you don't have the infrastructure to upkeep that, you're fucked.
Well, I guess they've made a big mistake there.
Yeah, look, it's third from there. Oh, I guess any one of those. Yeah, Dubai is sinking. It's crazy. It's nuts. Like, I don't think you should be able to do that. But if you can harness it in a way, like if it's over the top of like Swan River or one of these estuaries that you're talking about, it might help.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so there's like so many different impacts that is happening.
We need YouTube Premium. This is fucking bullshit. Every time it's like ding, ding, ding. Like, look at that, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that was from cloud seeding.
Yeah, too much cloud seeding. It's nuts, bro. So it works. It definitely works. But is it efficacious to do that in the middle of the desert?
I guess they...
Yeah. Okay, that's enough.
Oh, wow. Well, they're also like claiming land by like building tombolos and that's pretty... They're doing some pretty crazy things over there.
Weird stuff. But in land that's naturally already here, where we have the infrastructure built up around it, i.e. Perth with the Swan River, I don't think it's probably a good idea to cloud seed. You kind of need more of maybe a hands-on approach. But how do you do that? Do you take like Argyle and pump it down here?
No, because then you're influencing another environment.
Exactly.
Right?
That was one of the things that the Premier was trying to push. I don't know if you know this.
No, I didn't know that one.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine. Because it's not just like reduction of flows. Like when you start diverting rivers or making dams, clearing catchment, there's like multiple impacts that's all happened. So, and it's not just the reduction of rainfall that's happening. That's causing these things as well. Like, clearing of catchment. So, and a lot of the estuaries on the south coast is a very hot spot for hypersalinity.
What's that?
So it's where the salinity goes to extreme levels. So
what's salinity?
Salinity. So it's the salt content that's in water. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So like
it makes sense.
Yeah. So for example,
is that because of dehydration of the porous land close to the water? That you get more salt bedding into the sand and then it pours back into the water?
Similar. Yeah, it is. So that like secondary salinization.
Yeah,
so if you clear land, the water table rises and brings the salts from below, and that brings it to the surface, and then that ends up into the estuaries, because estuaries are literally like the sinks of nutrients where everything falls in. Right. So like everywhere ends up flows into one to like a pretty much an estuary. There's like obviously areas where there's like no estuaries in between, and the water then maybe just moves into an inland lake or something like that. So when the land is clear and the salt rises up, that's adding to this effects of hypersalinity, which is arguably one of the biggest impacts that we're seeing with estuaries. Like that is, we've done a lot of work in that. So one of the estuaries, we found the saltiest estuary on Earth, and we published a paper on that as well. So they, for example, the salinity level of that estuary, so freshwater is 0, seawater is 35. This estuary is 345.
Is that parts per million?
Parts per thousand.
Parts per thousand?
Yeah. So
could you float in this estuary?
Well, the Dead Sea is 350. This estuary was really shallow.
Oh, okay, right.
But you would be able to if it had enough water. Yeah. So that is one of the major effects, and we saw like a lot of different estuaries have major fish kills
what does it do to the fish? Do they migrate out if they can?
Well, a lot of them can't. So these estuaries are usually bar-built estuaries, which means they have like a sandbar at the mouth, and they're not connected to the ocean. They only connect when there's periods of high rainfall and things like that.
Whoa.
So that's like one of the other effects when you've got climate change reducing rainfall is just they're not connecting to the ocean, and they're not receiving enough freshwater flow, and so the water in there just eventually evaporates and they gets concentrated, and then you get extreme saline conditions. But like it's not an unnormal thing that has not the hypersaline boat, but like for an estuary to evaporate and lose majority of its water is not like an uncommon thing in these estuaries in the past. But because we've got a lot of different added pressures of like secondary salinization, probably like longer periods of without rainfall, these estuaries are reaching levels that have like never reached before.
Whoa.
And fish can't adapt to that. So we also broke the record for finding the most salt-tolerant marine fish, and we found that started dying off when it reached 122 parts per thousand. So the estuary reached higher levels than that, and there was no fish living in that. But they survived in that level. This is the sea mullet. Everyone would recognise that fish, even globally. It's there's only a few fish that are found globally, and that's one of them.
Okay.
And that was living in 122 parts per thousand. The black brim, they seem to not survive higher than 80 parts per thousand, what some studies suggest. We did find one, I think, was in 110 parts per thousand, but it was completely emancipated. So it was like just skin and bone. And that probably it maybe could survive the osmoretic pressure. Mm-hmm. So like fish, they swallow water to breathe. So they actually just drink water. But it requires so much energy to take the oxygen out, and so to put enough like water in their cells and all that, so they have to drink. Well, the sea mullet would think we're drinking 12 times the amount of water than they would normally. So it's like the huge energy cost that they have to survive in these environments is massive. But then we think that the brim didn't survive higher than the other parts because their food, so the invertebrates that are in there, could not survive that higher salinity.
So is high salinity in direct correlation with low oxygen?
There is a relation to it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But there was enough oxygen for these fish in the water with the salinity that they could survive. They was surviving enough with the oxygen. But the higher salinity in the water, the lower oxygen that's like associated with the molecules.
I've wondered, I should probably not stumble on my words. I've wondered this quite a while, and I'm under the understanding that salt is a heavier molecule than H2O, sodium, right?
Yes. So you get stratification in estuaries. So when there's not enough flow, you'll have your fresh water
at
on
the
top and your salt water down the bottom. And if there's not enough mixing, usually that saline water down the bottom is deoxygenated.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So algae can't grow in that?
Depends. No, some can. Well, it's more the breaking down of like other organic matter. So yeah, probably not. Certain algae can, because not all algae needs light as well.
That's true.
So there's, don't quote me on that one actually. But
we don't need to. You want to Google that?
Yeah.
Does all algae need light?
Yeah.
No, I had that thought quite a while ago, because when you're sitting on top of the water, like on a boat, you're like, we're floating. And I was really high, granted. And I was just thinking like, where the air is heavier than the water, But if salt is heavier than, on the periodic table, salt is heavier than oxygen and hydrogen, wouldn't it sink? Does that mean
salt's NaCl.
NaCl?
So it's like two molecules on the periodic table.
Yeah, but so is oxygen and hydrogen, right?
Yeah.
And both are lighter than Na and Cl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking about the masses. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll let you go.
I went deep. And it made me think, is like the Mariana Trench, is that the saltiest place in the world?
Is that the one where I remember watching one of the BBC shows where they had like the salt lakes in the ocean where the fish would like brine lakes, I think they called them.
Yeah, brine lakes.
I would probably, I can't remember what levels they came to, but I don't think it would be. Like you would get, even though we went to that estuary and it recorded at 345 parts per thousand, that was just like one point in time. Like if we went there 3 weeks later, it would have been even saltier than that.
Whoa.
So I think there would be probably areas, right, where there's salt constantly feeding all these areas that probably would be a lot saltier. Like I don't know what the Dead Sea would eventually reach up to through evaporation and things. And I don't know those brine lakes, what they reach to.
Right. Most algae can rely on sunlight for the energy source. Not all of them require it. I cannot read today, dude. Photosynthetic. Is that right?
Yeah, photosynthetic algae like cryptophytes.
You read
it. And full heterotrophic algae thrive in the dark and derive their energy from organic matter or other organisms.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So we're still seeing life in these heavy salted areas.
Well, it depends what level. So that estuary that I was talking to about with that reached 345, that was like, it was actually quite interesting, the fact, because there was a lot of people, it turned into a little bit of a tourist hotspot, and like a lot of people took photos and sent it, and it kind of went global because it was like, it had a real pink tinge to it, and that was because of a green algae. I don't even know it was a green algae, it made it pink. And so people were like, oh, it's like the pink lakes of Esperance, and like it was really pretty aesthetically.
Yeah.
But when we were there was just no life. So usually when you go to an estuary, you see birds, you see fish, insects, bugs, like just a lot of like estuaries don't just harbor an environment for everything that lives in the water. It's everything that's around it as well. So like having terrestrial animals around, there was just nothing. There was just nothing. It was like walking into a haunted house.
Whoa.
Because like there was, I think, some spiders around, and that's kind of the only thing I saw that was like in terms of living animals there in there. It was just like desolate. Like we were camping on the banks of the estuary, and like there was no mosquitoes or midges because they have a larval phase.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And if there's no water around there for them to breed, they just die off, right?
I was at my friend's house last night, and he has a koi pond, and I was getting eaten alive.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's clearly not salt water. Wow.
Yeah, so then you start losing. So like most animals, like they're one of the main producers of energy in the food web, right? Like insects. Mm-hmm. And so if they can't breed or anything there, then you're starting to lose your trophic flow of energy through the ecosystem, and it starts collapsing. Like that's how like estuaries probably are one of the most important ecosystems that we have on this planet.
Wow.
Yet we like do not do enough to look after them at all.
I don't think people have the awareness.
No, 100%. And that's one of my main missions with my science communication is to show how cool these environments are, because they influence everybody, like, and everything. Like the marine environment outside there, that like when the estuary flows out into the marine environment, they provide so much nutrients to everything that's living on the immediate outside, but they provide habitat for juveniles. So many fish. I think there was a study that showed that 90% of recreational fish targeted in, I think, Australia have a direct correlation with the estuary. So whether that's like food that provides for them out in the ocean, or if it's like, you know, there's a lot of fish like sea mullet, they spawn in the ocean, but then they recruit into estuaries as juveniles.
For nutrients to grow.
Yeah, because estuaries provide a sheltered habitat. Like there's not many wave action or anything like that. The estuaries are highly productive, as I was talking about earlier, with the amount of nutrients coming in there, you know, and with the amount of structure, because there's like usually algae beds, seagrass beds, lots of riparian vegetation like sticks, logs, you know, areas for fish to hide, or sea mullet actually swim so far up river that they go into like the freshwater parts. So there's only a certain amount of like freshwater fish that predate on fish. There's actually a really low number of piscivorous fish in estuaries. Like there's not many fish that eat fish in general, really, at all. Like most fish eat like
Tell
invertebrates.
that to the bull sharks.
Well, that's just one species though.
Yeah, true.
Like,
How many fish on like a healthy estuary? How many fish species would occur? Thousands?
No. So the Swan River, we've recorded around 206 species of fish, and that's like through decades of sampling.
Oh wow!
That's a lot.
Is
In regards to that, there's only thought of around like 500 species in the whole like Perth region, and that's going out to the trench. But that's also including fish in the estuaries as well.
Okay.
So that's part of that. So that like 206 is a lot. Like in a lot of the estuaries that I've worked in, when we get like fish numbers more than 20 species in an estuary, that's starting to get pretty high.
Right.
But these are also estuaries that are, say, bar-built estuaries. Usually their salinity levels are lower than the marine environment, so you don't get as many marine fish in there. But estuaries like, say, Waichinukup down in Albany, it's a very tiny estuary. Like it's probably, I think it was like 1.5 kilometers long. But we recorded over, around 120, 100 or so more species of fish in such a like tiny environment. That estuary is probably, I would say my favorite estuary. One, it's the most picturesque. It's so aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, right.
But it's also like an area where I've seen freshwater fish swimming right next to an estuarine fish, swimming next to a marine fish. So I saw like a minnow, what was it, Galaxius occidentalis, one of those freshwater minnows swimming next to a black brim, swimming next to a blue groper. Insane. Like you just don't, but there was also other marine fish like mullets and zebrafish, like just like I was just using those as an example. Like that is just a crazy environment.
Yeah, I think it might just be a perceptive misconception to think that because there's a multitude of species that they must occur all in one area. If all estuaries, let's just play devil's advocate. All estuaries die of over salinity or whatever. Like
there's so many. I've only just listed like two of the ones.
Right.
There's so many more.
How does it impact humans if estuaries die?
Oh, greatly, huge. So
because a lot of people will only think about themselves and make betterment for change
if it impacts them.
If it impacts them.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's a very hard one to unpack in a way, but we can try our best. So I'll even just start with this. 8 of the biggest 10 cities in the world are built on estuaries or around estuaries. And if we go even to Australia, 86% of our population live within, was it like 50 kilometres of the coastline?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And greatly around estuaries. Think of like every city or town we have in Western Australia, apart from Kalgoorlie, everyone is pretty much around an estuary.
True.
So why have we built around estuaries?
Sydney Harbour's an estuary, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. And why have we built around estuaries is because firstly, it was an easy way for connectivity, for moving things, trading things, but they provided a huge amount of resources, whether it was like originally back when they started was like food sources in there because they are so productive of all the fish that's inside there or invertebrates like crabs and all that. Not that we rely on those species now, but then there's the recreational value as well. So how important is it for you to like walk or go fishing around a water source or something like that? I guess you can still, if the estuary was dead, but there's water still there, you could do that. And then there's the cultural values. And then I guess with food, the amount, or I wonder if this would happen if it's a dead estuary. So if it's a dead estuary that there's nothing living inside it.
Just if it's completely impacted by humans.
Well, because it breaks down a lot of our nutrients and pollution and everything that goes inside there.
Right.
So there is invertebrates that break down that nutrients and cycle the nutrients back into the soil that then gets fed out through the different ecosystems, and so that's quite important for that. But then if you start losing, the bugs and invertebrates can't survive, can't breed inside there, the whole ecosystem's going to collapse around us. So they are like one of the most important ecosystems that we have,
Whoa.
or the most important ecosystem.
Yeah, you
that we
just,
have.
I guess as a land-dwelling creature, you just really don't think about that, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're like, that's beautiful. Let's continue on with my day. And you just like change gear in your car, pump out all this emissions.
So many people have come up to me and they go, "Oh, estuaries, like they're just a sinkhole. That's like gross. Like, oh, the estuary's brown, and that's just tannin say. That's just like organic matter in the water. It's fine. It's completely normal. But they just look at estuaries as like a gross
Dirty
habitat
thing, yeah.
But they're not. They're not. They're so like there's. Even though I said there's a lower number of species than maybe what you thought, but they're so diverse. And they're like, if you go just talk about the invertebrates, like we've got a lot of people that work on invertebrates, and I've said this to my boss multiple times that like invertebrates are probably the best way of telling you how healthy an ecosystem is. Like I love fish and I always stick with fish.
Invertebrate crustaceans and
but everything from like tiny copepods, amphipods, isopods.
Yeah.
Like these are, I guess, it's all types of pods.
Podcast.
Podcast.
ISO podcast.
Yeah, but they're like incredibly hard to study. And like you can do it, but it's very time consuming, costs a lot of money. So we use fish in a lot of in our work. It's a lot more effective in terms of time and money.
Okay.
But yeah, like if you lose them, like everything's probably going to fall away pretty quickly.
So the color of the water isn't an indication of the health of the estuary?
No, not at all.
Right.
No, so usually...
Because my dad, he's like an old, how you going kind of guy. But he would always say, like, back in the day, the Swan River used to be clear. And you hear about like estuary cleanups in other countries, and then the water turns clear. And they're like, oh, it's such a beautiful thing. Even in Amsterdam, they have like the clearest water in their canals.
Yeah, so when they're talking about clearing, like the water clearing, that's probably more like less algae in the water, like microalgae. And that when you're taking away and clearing up the areas around, there's like less nutrients going in there and you don't get those algal blooms. So the water becomes essentially clearer, but this is not, was more talking about tannin stained water.
Whoa.
So like tannin stained water is like, it's transparent to a certain extent, but it's like brown looking where like microalgae blooms. So it could be like that brown, greeny kind of look and like not translucent at all. So that's probably the difference between the clearness and not, but it could also be an indication.
Like a fine wine.
Yeah.
Like with red grapes, you leave the grape skins in and it's tannins, and that's what colors the wine.
Yeah.
So it's this we've got fine wine riverbeds.
Yeah.
Well done, Perth.
Yeah. And like in comparison, like because we're a relatively young country where we've made a big impact. But like if we're talking to other places in the world where they've had centuries or millennia of impacts, like, you know, just come back from Bangkok and that river was like
Filthy.
Like, yeah, you can't swim in it. You're not allowed to swim in it. Can you imagine like...
Isn't there direct pipes that like push pollution into the river?
Oh yeah, there's probably a whole bunch of things. Like it's
fish with like 7 eyes on the Simpsons.
Well, like through history, like all the sewage ran into estuaries.
Really?
Like throughout the world. Yeah, that's why like E. coli is so high. I remember like through the Olympics just recently that like
they couldn't drink the water, right?
Well, they couldn't even swim in it.
Is that right? They couldn't swim in it?
They spent millions of dollars trying to clean it up so the triathletes could like swim in the river, but they were even jumping in and getting sick from E. coli. So like, you know, and that was what, France, wasn't it? So
gross.
Yeah, so like we're really lucky in Western Australia to be able to do what we still do here, and so we should like while we're on the front foot, we should be doing more and more. And there is a lot of stuff in there, but you need a lot more community help to make a difference in there as well. And I wanted to talk about going back to the clarity part of it. So with reduction of rainfall, we're starting with estuaries that are permanently open, you're getting marinisation. And what that is that the marine environment's pushing more and more into these estuaries. Like the Swan River or Peel Harvey is pretty good examples. And that's changing the fauna. So you know how earlier I talked about like freshwater fauna or freshwater fish and estuarine fish? So I was referring to their gills. So like black brim, essentially, but most of their population, like 99% of their population, live their whole life cycle within an estuary. They're not living in the marine environment. There is a few subpopulations that do live in the marine environment, but 99% of their population live inside an estuary. Then there's the freshwater fish, like those minnows. Some of them are catadromous or anadromous, where they will swim. They will spawn in the freshwater environment, and then they get flushed out, and they will spend a little bit of time in the ocean, and they'll swim back in.
They borderline, right?
Yeah, but there's there's other species of fish that will live in that freshwater environment, and then there's ones that, like estuaries, fish in estuaries and invertebrates would be as well, like completely amazing in the sense that they would like certain salinities, and they'll partition themselves. So species like what we call the hardyheads, right? We've got like six to seven species of hardyheads that live in the Swan River. Same with what gobies are, which are, they're kind of like that little fish that's probably 3-4 centimeters long, and they kind of look like flatheads. They don't grow too much bigger than that.
Yeah, okay.
But
are they kind of translucent?
No, I think you're thinking of the hardyheads.
Okay, right.
So the gobies are the ones that live on like the bed seafloor.
Okay, right.
And the hardyheads are like the ones that you'll see in massive schools. Like some of them are like the common hardyheads, like that big.
Yeah. My bad.
But they will like partition themselves throughout the estuary due to preferences of salinity. So like, the mouth of the estuaries are usually like a marine salinity level, but as you go up, it gets fresher and fresher and fresher, and those species, so they can all survive, will like live in like certain salinity ranges. They can survive the wide range of it, but they'll have preferences to where they want.
Is it the school's preference, or is it individual?
It's the whole species.
It's a species collectively.
Yeah, but
wow.
When it's a preference, it's not a limiting factor. So a lot of them can survive.
Ooh.
A lot of them can survive in a wide range of salinity. Like, I will get to the end of my point in a sec, but I will quickly jump over to this. Like, estuarine fish that live in there, like, there's a lot of marine fish can't survive like 1 or 2 parts changes in salinity, otherwise they die. Estuarine fish, they can survive from going almost to like fresh. They go from like freshwater to hypersaline, different levels of hypersalinity. But it's like, what's a way to speak? Because it's like they have to breathe and live in it at the same time. But it's like me constantly changing the oxygen level in this room here for us to breathe and survive, and plus also changing how much energy we were using to breathe, how much fluid is inside your cells. Like, I can make, if I flood you with fresh water into your cells, you'll burst and all that. So like, there's so many things that like these fish are like crazy adapted to be able to survive.
They're the David Goggins.
Yeah. Literally, like estuarine fish are like incredible.
That's insane.
They're, like, so crazy to adapt. So going back to what marinization is. So as the estuary might be becoming clear because there's more freshwater pushing up, seawater pushing up into the system, that these freshwater environments for all these fish are reducing, because the top of the system doesn't increase, gets bigger. It just reduces and reduces. So then you're starting to lose these habitats for all these other species of fish and invertebrates, and that changes how the ecosystem works and functions.
Whoa.
So now, like, how much value do you put on these species here, right? You probably put a lot of value if you realize that they're quite important for a recreational fish or whatever, but like a lot of like public perception is like, oh, the estuary is like we're getting more snapper in the estuary, we're getting more sambos or things like, or mulloway or things like that, where people want to go target and fish. So it's like, oh yeah, it's great, it's healthier, but it's not, because they are you're getting more
picking them off at the wrong time.
Yeah, so you start losing the estuarine habitat, but you're, I guess, essentially making a bit more of a marine embayment. And we've seen like changes. So, for example, eagle rays in the Swan River, there was like projects that ran for decades through like the 70s, 80s.
The big ones?
The eagle rays?
Yeah.
Where they only caught one eagle ray in the same sampling that we do now.
What?
Now we're catching like hundreds, 200s more in an estuary. In our one season of sampling in here. So like, that's because it's become more of a marine embayment than what it used to be.
Right.
It used to be a lot fresher back then. So the habitats are changing. So like animals are,
Are you under the assumption that we're doing too much fishing? Is it getting to that point?
As recreationally?
Recreational and for industry.
Oh, it's a hard one to answer,
You don't have to answer if you don't want to. I know it's a touchy subject.
Yeah, it is. And like we all have opinions. And for me, I need a lot of information before I want to give my opinion on something. I like to know, like talk to both sides of the story, learn as much as I can before I can form my own opinion. And for myself, on that topic, it's hard for me to, I don't have enough information yet to understand what it is. But I can like guarantee there's a huge recreational pressure, which I think everyone is like not putting enough emphasis on. Like there's like technological creep, which is like we're now fishing with sounders that can almost like identify the fish.
What?
You know, like there's
Really?
Yeah, there's side scanners, sonars that are like
Jesus.
it's essentially we're going
We
out.
still can't see UFOs. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're putting a lot of pressure on fish these days. There's nowhere to hide. Like speaking to my dad, who's like, you know, fished in the Bunbury area, or like, you know, some other his friends that are a lot older generation, they didn't go out with any sounders or satellite or GPSs.
Luck of the
They would
catch.
lock out. They would like, you know, line up a couple landmarks and like, all right, we're in this area, and they would clean up every time, right? And they're not driving 50 kilometers; they're only driving 5-10 kilometers. Like fishermen now, they're all saying that there's like, oh, there's so many fish in the water. Oh, I'm gonna be worried not to be clipped up about saying anything like this. But
Anything you say, we edit out if you don't want it in. So say whatever the fuck you want, and it'll be edited out if you tell me.
okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
If you fuck up.
But like, I like. It's still a lot more information is needed, but like we've got now.
I've got to now edit that part out because I forgot to tell you before the podcast.
Okay. Okay. We've got sounders, and we're driving, you know, huge distances now, and we can cover and sound so many different areas that we're like locating the fish. It's like hunting with night vision, you know,
Jesus.
like. Well, that's essentially what it is, right? Like you're looking around and thermal images are popping up, and for them it's like, you know, the bladders or whatever, how the echolocation from the sounders are working. And so where the fish can't hide anywhere these days. So and like we're throwing so many different things at them to get them to bite, or if you do find them, or you just say, oh, they're not biting today here, so we'll go over here. We're not really giving them a good chance. And so we're putting so much pressure. There is a lot of pressure on there. So it's like, yeah, it's one that definitely needs to be considered, that we are putting pressure on them. And like I'm an avid fisherman. I grew up fishing, spear fishing, and I still do so much of it. Like, yeah, I want to be able to do that with my kids in the future.
Of course.
So I think we just need to keep on, learning. And I think a change needs to be made, but more information is needed.
Have you done much research into plastics in the water?
Microplastics? No, not personally, but
Do you have an opinion on it?
oh, there's a lot of it. Yeah, definitely. Even I think I spoke to you before. Like I just came from sailing through French Polynesia, right? And we'll go into uninhabited islands. Like this is probably some of the most remote islands in the world. Like if you Google the Tuamotu Islands or Marquesas Islands and just have it on a map just to show, like, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Where
Marquesas Islands.
Marquesas, yeah, Marquesas. You can just get it on a map to show like how, like, in the middle of literally nowhere.
Oh, wow.
Is there a global map? Because that's sort of showing just the islands. Well, there was one with Australia. And those dots or anything like that.
I'll go back to that first one, dude.
Yep.
Like the Pacific's the biggest ocean in the world, and that's like smack bang in the middle of
Holy
it, right?
fuck.
So-
How'd you get there?
I flew there, but then I jumped on one of my best mates' sailing boats.
Right.
Yeah, he's been sailing around for the last few years, and he's living the life. Absolutely awesome.
How many kilometers is that from Australia? Do you know?
Oh,
Is it like
well, so Australia's
4,000?
no, Australia itself is about 4,000.
Yeah,
so
true. So about 6.
I reckon that's double plus. That might be about 8 to 10,000 kilometers.
That's insane.
But like
bro.
see how like remote that is, right?
Yeah.
Those islands, middle of nowhere, right? So you would almost think that should be some of the less impacted places by humans. Like it is in a more of a tropical area, so it
depends on where the currents are flowing to as well, right?
Yeah. Well, all I was going to get to with that point is that like there was so much plastic still on those islands, not from the humans living on the islands. So we went to uninhabited islands, and it's just drift plastics and things, and you're just like, yeah,
we're so fucked up, dude.
yeah. Well, they're finding like plastics in the Mariana Trench and things as well. Like,
yeah, there was a Heineken bottle that they found down there. Did you see that?
Oh, I
it was
didn't
just
see that
floating
one, but
around. It was like almost fresh.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So they're finding plastics in the Arctic and Antarctica. Like, yeah, we've spread that throughout the world. And then the health implications from that, I don't know. And I'm
know about phthalates or phthalates?
I think I've heard the word. Is that the really small ones? No.
Yeah, so they're really, really small. And now in human biology, they've done screening of brains. And we looked this up on a previous podcast. And 5% of your brain matter is now plastic. There is the size of a picnic spoon, like a plastic picnic spoon of plastic in your brain, in every human.
Really?
Yes, due to microplastics. And the health implications that gives to a human, there's a lady, I think her name's Rebecca Bolton or something like that. It's probably not. Sorry, Rebecca Bolton, if that is you. And she did a study on the implications of phthalates, which is the tiny particles, and what it does to gender dysphoria. So I don't know if you've ever seen the Alex Jones clip where he's like, they're making the frogs gay. You ever seen that?
Yeah.
That's actually real. So
is it though?
Amphibious gender dysphoria, they started turning frogs into like, I guess the most common like hermaphrodite, but like a frog, it was like born with a vagina and a penis.
You get that in natural.
Yeah, but it was more occurring
well.
in these places where they were doing the testings of these microplastics. It was like off the charts. Right. And I wonder if fish are going through that same thing. No, I honestly do. I wonder.
Well, there is projects looking at it. So I don't know. I can't comment on that before because I don't know much about that at all. And same with the fish. Like I have friends working on microplastics in fish. And I don't actually know the results of their study. I know they're in the fish, but yeah, I don't know what levels because I think they were looking at toxicity and things. And
we've done some fucked up shit as humans, man.
Yeah,
pull oil out of the ground, solidify it, and then drink Coke out of it, like Coca-Cola out of it. Like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, I watched a reel about how they make Oreos the other day, and that was pretty.
How do they do it?
Oh. It was all a bunch of chemical stuff that I've never even heard of. I would not be able to recite it back to you because it was like, whoa, okay, that's it was pretty horrific. But
I looked at, I didn't want to, but I looked at my label of my protein powder. I was not impressed. You think it's going to be milk, curds, and whey. You get rid of the curds, you dry out the whey, you have whey protein. There was like 36 ingredients on that bitch. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you got soy emulsifiers, you've got dextrose, everything to kind of make it like satiable, I guess.
I did a podcast with a toxicologist who looks at supplements.
Right.
And that's something that you definitely need to be looking into. Where you're buying your supplements, how you're getting them, and what's inside them. Yeah. Because there's a lot of potentially harmful things like right here in Australia, not necessarily made in Australia, but sold here in a lot of places. That's an interesting podcast. You might find that one enjoying. So that was like episode 16, I think.
Who's the guest?
Garth Marker, Professor Garth Marker.
I'll get his contact from you. I want to talk to him.
Yeah.
There is something to be said for vitamins in Australia. I think it's...
Yeah, he tests vitamins as well. He does? Chinese medicine.
There is the craziest thing, and a lot of people don't know about this. Vitamin B12 is like one of the things that like vegans have to have, right? And I don't know if this is a ploy to kill all vegans, but most vitamin B12 is derived from cyanide. It's called cyanogobalamin.
Right.
Your body can't process cyanogobalamin. It needs methylgobalamin. But because there is properties of vitamin B12, effects from cyanogobalamin, they put it in vitamin B12 tablets and they call it vitamin B12. But it's trickling cyanide into your system. You can Google that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you can get brands that have methylgobalamin in it as well. Instead of the cyanide. And it's like I take BioGlan. That apparently fucking it's you can feel the difference.
Yeah.
You can, for sure.
Like that realm I have never dabbled in really. Like my mum, she works at a pharmacy and she will give me organic.
It's probably
things.
a good move. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I don't really look what's in there, to be honest, and I don't take too many supplements or anything anyway. Like as you can see, I'm quite skinny, but
that's it's healthier than being fat.
True. Yeah. I have a good diet, but
a lot of fish.
Yeah, a lot of fish.
It's good.
Yeah, self-sustaining a lot of the time. So
what do you think about the fish farms?
Not good.
No, why?
Well, I see that's another one that I don't have quite the information. I think like done
it's
right.
It's cool to say that, but tell me your thinking.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I've got to be careful.
Is it because the added
if it can be done right?
Yeah,
but a lot of the time it's too many in the one spot.
Right.
Yeah, and that has other implications. And
because there's infections that can happen in the water.
Infections, disease transfers, especially if you got fish that aren't native to that area.
Right, and fecal matter that's a problem too. If there's not enough flow to the water.
That's like putting an excess amount of nutrients into it. If it's just like quite stagnant water, you're starting to affect the biota down the bottom. Sometimes if you've got the right amount, it could be good for it. Like it's providing more nutrients for the living things down the bottom. So yeah, but if you got too much is never a good thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In our bodies.
Like are you referring to like the Tasmanian farming and stuff? Like
tuna farming, all that, yeah.
I was interested in watching that play out. That was a pretty big story. Like it obviously I'm not involved in that in any sense, but
what has been the outcome so far? Do you know?
It's kind of gone quiet.
Yeah,
lately.
it has, hasn't it?
Yeah, so I don't know what's happened there, to be honest. And
they all died.
Now I'm gonna look that up when I get back to find out.
Yeah. I worry, man. I do worry. You want like you said about teaching your kids how to fish and
or even just enjoying
the water life.
Yeah, like I grew up very lucky.
Where did you grow up?
Where did I grow up? So my parents lived in Australind, but I have a big farming family through like the Manjimup, Walpole area, and I spent a lot of my childhood out there just running amok as you do on farms, and we're surrounded by bush down there. Mm-hmm. So without getting into specifics, anybody that grew up in a country area, like they know you have a pretty wild childhood and all that. So and like I got my pocket money by catching rabbits and doing all those things like that. And just like when you like grew up like that, you appreciate land in the environment. You just end up loving it. And like I was. When I was like 8 months old, my dad took me out, I don't know how many kilometers, I think it was like 30 kilometers out into the ocean. So I like grew up just in these environments. I was scuba diving by the time I was 11, and before that was just like snorkeling, following my dad around. Like it was just like adamant every day. Everything about me was like so focused on fish and the environment, and just was actually catching animals and just looking at them and appreciating them. And as I like grew into what I wanted to do, the more I learned about it, the more like, insight to wanting to preserve and conserve these areas. And like, that was a really like inspiring part to when I started seeing the pessimistic sides of everything, like how much degradation we're causing and things like that. You go, well, I might not be able to have to show this to other people, and we're losing these environments. So it's like so driven to want to make change and save these areas and have it for everyone else. And I think I've always worked on the philosophy of that change happens with inspiration, not through instruction. And that's
a good point.
A lot of people they have to have the idea themselves that they want to change, right? Like it's so hard. Even if you're a kid, right? If your parents told you to clean your room, a lot of the time you either didn't clean your room, or if you did do it, you did it reluctantly, and you ended up sort of despising it. You know, we're all still kids in a sense now. If like someone's trying to like tell you to do something, you go, oh, no, I don't want to do it, or you just reluctantly not have that feeling. But if you have the idea that yourself, like, oh, if I clean my room and then like I have this, you know, something happens, that's great, you know. And so I wanted to inspire people to learn that, to want to make that difference themselves. And the other bit is, as I mentioned earlier, is like how important education is. Because you know, as you said, like no one quite understood how important estuaries are.
Yes.
Right. So the inspiration comes from showing how cool they are. The education side of it comes learning about what's in them and how they work and all that, and then how you can have the idea yourself of how you want to make a difference. And that's like been a huge driver to why I do what I do. Like I'm absolutely almost like killing myself in how much I'm working at the moment, and like over the years I've like burnt out multiple times where like I've ended up hating doing what I was doing, but like loving it at the same time. But it was just because there was no balance, and that's a different area. And like finding myself now, like I'm loving what I'm doing. Don't get me wrong, I'm having like the greatest time of my life, but like I'm also taking myself away from going out into the environments as much as I would like to be, and living how I maybe would like to be living, where I'd love to be, just live out bush and be a hermit and just go fishing and diving and hunting or something, or just living out there. Yeah, I'd love to do that way more, but like I'm so driven to want to make sure that's there for our next 10 generations, and that we have that. And like, you know, I also do love learning, so I guess that's a reason why I'm still doing it. And
it's an admirable cause, man. It is. It's a lot of people don't think like that, and I think that's going to be to our own dismay.
I quickly went from that French Polynesia to Bangkok recently. Within 4 weeks, I went from some of the most pristine environments, like as I said, how remote those islands were. Even though I did say there was some plastic there, but like, my God, the life that was there was insane. Like there was so much diversity of fish and like mammals or like just a whole bunch. I could again lost of words there, and it was like, this is how life should be, because that felt like we're going to uninhabited islands that had no impact from humans directly. Really, wow. It might be because it's so remote, it's not worthwhile people going fishing there. There might be a few local communities, but it's relatively untouched. And then going into Bangkok, and just I like rarely saw a tree where it wasn't paved up or concreted right up to the base. Like it was the complete opposite to where I'd just come from, and it was like so saddening and like disheartening to see that air was different. Everything's different. And like I had this thought, it's like, well, as humans, yeah, we probably can survive without nature in a sense. Like we're figuring out ways of like farming and all that, and different ways to cultivate food. Like we're growing beef from cells and things now, so we'd probably maybe figure out a way. But then how important is that to you to live like that, to what it is to have like these amazing environments where you could go out and walk on the beach and see cool animals, and like what is this aesthetic value? It's, you know, there's a lot more than just the aesthetic value, but what important is it to have you that? And I guarantee you, your mental health will completely change if you lose those environments.
Correct.
And so it's like
even nighttime, dude, light pollution.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing about what you just said is if you turned all the lights off and it was nighttime in both areas, you'd still see stars.
Yeah. Oh.
You're still on the same planet.
Yeah. You do see a lot. If you turn the lights off, sorry.
If you turn off all the lights, you look up, you're seeing stars. And it kind of, what I'm trying to get at is we're all on the same fucking planet. And it's weird how like you can have like these tribes in the Congolese that have never seen an iPhone. Then you have, you know, like pristine beaches of the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Then you have Bangkok. Then you have New York City. You have LA. You have all these hyper condensed areas of humanity and society where there's very little nature going on. And the natural side of things, you're starting to see an enclave at the moment of insanity. You're seeing weird human beings produced in weird environments where they're disconnected from nature. It's weird what it does. When you get back to nature, it's weird. You feel connected. There's something else behind that. There definitely is.
Yeah. It's so, I think there's a huge importance from not just like ecologically, but to humans as well, to have the nature around us. And so I think there's a big cause and push that we should be trying to do more. Like it's so easy to say to try to do more, right? But like what I really want to be trying to find is like, what are these solutions? What can we do?
Yeah.
You know? And it's a hard question, because it's, I think if you start by preserving environments around there and looking after, because there's a way, we are animals as well. We can all find ways to sustain and live harmoniously together. And I think that's what
some people are a little bit more animals than others. Some people. Yeah, if we can find a way to live in harmony with nature, we are winning. Like Singapore. Here's a theory that I have. In Australia, I should probably get this in, not sponsored. We are under the assumption that recycling is a good thing.
Is it not? I think pretty sure recycling is a good thing.
To a personal level, it's the best. You're doing your part. What are the companies doing? Do you think they're selling that cardboard and plastic back?
To be honest, I have no idea.
We're burying that shit in a hole right next to the garbage.
I think it does. There is the reuse, recycle parts, though.
There is parts, where it only has to be up to, I think it's 15% that the company has to reuse and recycle. In Singapore, 100% recyclability of everything.
Really?
100%.
So, if that is the case, that's what we should be aspiring for and learning from.
Yeah. If a community has it right and it's working for them, why not copy? It's okay. Like Da Vinci said, right? Good artists copy, great artists steal. If this piece of art, this world that we live on, if you want to maintain its beauty, if you want to maintain the art that you live in, the serenity that you see over your estuary, over your hills, over your mountain ranges, over your farmland, we need to fix some shit.
This is, instead of stealing, like collaborations.
Oh,
learning
yeah.
from
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I know the idea what you're saying. Like, there's definitely, we need it. We all, I think everyone probably has the same goal, right? There's probably a select few that are probably just money driven. And that's a whole separate
corporation
area.
Industry,
But we all essentially have the same goal to conserve, and we all want these environments. So we just have to work together and keep trying to find solutions. And that's not just from scientists' perspectives or managers' perspectives. It's like everyone, the whole community together needs to get together and drive this force and find the solutions, or if the solutions that are already there, keep working on them.
Have you seen that one guy I think he's in Atlanta, and he's doing microwave pyrolysis?
No, I don't even know what that is.
It's heating up plastic and turning it back into gasoline.
Right.
He's calling it plastiline.
Okay.
Yeah. Find that guy.
Well, like, there's alternative ways of making fuel. Like, I know they can make algae, turn algae into fuel.
Yeah.
But it was like, I think the last time I heard an estimate or something was like, it might have changed by now because this was years ago, it was like $8 a litre. So, like, it's, still people are going to want to spend the lower amount. Like, I as much environmentally friendly, I don't have the money to spend $8 on a litre of fuel.
It'd be nice.
It would be nice.
For sure.
So, like, there is that's a solution. It's about now making that more affordable or more of a convenience. People do work on what's convenient for them,
of course,
as well. So,
yeah, it's like the water-powered engines. Most of those guys get shot in the fucking head. They do, man. Every video of like a guy on YouTube.
These are conspiracies, though.
I don't know, man. It's very similar.
Like that's something I have no idea about, so I can't comment on something.
I think there was this guy named I fucked up. I don't know his name actually, but there was this guy that did a water-powered engine, and I think they put it down to he died of cancer or something. But he was like extreme radiation levels in his blood, like extreme.
Right.
Like somebody shoved a stick of fucking plutonium up his ass.
Toyota's got a car out that runs on hydrogen.
Yeah, hydrogen's a different thing though. They're hydrogen cells, and they're trying to do hybrids at the moment, which is it's weird. Hydrogen powered cars are strange because if you were to trap that much hydrogen that would power a car without fuel, and you got hit in the arse end, you got a little hydrogen bomb that goes off. That's not good. Those things, yeah, they 2,500 degrees Celsius is what it burns at. So it's like, do you want that kind of? I mean, you would never speed again.
No, you'd be very cautious.
Yeah, you'd put a bumper car around your car. Yeah, we've come to a very weird part in where we're just talking about random shit, but it all ties in together, man. The betterment of human beings and the betterment of the world. I think we think of ourselves as very I think of the human race as very selfish because. And he's vegetarian, so congratulations. But we tend to think of ourselves as the world spins around us, or we're the center of the universe. We're the only thing that matters. A species goes extinct, who cares? There's another species, right? But that's probably not the way to look at things.
Well, definitely not, because as you just mentioned, everything is related. Right. Yes. So if you lose a species, like you got keystone species. So keystone species are the ones at the top of the food chain. If you lose them, like there's a catastrophic events happen after it, like, so when they, in the Yellowstone, when they had no wolves in there, they got rid of the wolves.
Yeah.
Right. And then all the deer population was dying and falling, like their populations reduced dramatically. But then when they put the wolves back, the deer population's coming. That's strange, right? Because the wolves hunt deers.
Yeah, so but they also attack the farm animals.
Yeah,
you know about that?
Yeah.
They took wolves from an area.
What was there first, the farm animals or the wolves? But like,
I know what you're saying.
That's not the point that I was trying to make.
Oh,
the point is like when it's just like everything's related. Like, I was just picking up from the top water, but like if you lose a bit of why would it matter if we lose this type of like some sort of invertebrate? I've never even heard of that. Like I'm just saying invertebrate in general. If we lose that one, why would that matter? I've never heard of it. Okay, we've lost it. But then that animal here that specifically feeds on this animal, or that invertebrate there cycles this type of nutrients, so that it's quite important. Then that nutrients builds up and it affects other things, and then so like you get a lead-on effect. So it's like you need to preserve the environment because everything like that's been in balance for millennia.
Yeah.
That millennia, millions of years. Sorry, I meant to say like that's been bad. So we've just come in. We've just come in and just gone with like a wrecking ball, and we've just made huge impacts. And like the rate of species we're losing from human impact is like astronomical, right? And we don't know what's going to happen because we're only just starting to learn now of how things work in together and what happens when you lose this and lose that. And so we're still on this trajectory where we're making such big changes into our environments, whether it's from like literally directly changing the environment or indirectly from like climate change and things like that. And so like, yeah, it's like not a thing where it's like, oh, well, who cares if we lose this species? I talked to a parasitologist that spoke about they were removing this parasite from this animal, and because like they wanted to put it clean, well, what they thought was clean without having parasites on it, but that animal had like a mutualistic relationship with the host animal, and then the animal started dying, and when they went out into the public, went
like
out into the
toxoplasmosis type thing.
No, like because parasites could be inside or outside. It's like whatever it was I think it was like a parasite that lived in the feathers of this bird or something like that.
Gotcha.
But like I'm just using parasites as an example. Like everyone thinks of parasites as this growth thing, but they're so important for our ecosystem. They keep it in check.
Yeah.
But they provide food, which is probably a small amount of their importance compared to what they actually do within the environment. And so it's like before I did that podcast, I was like, I completely changed my perspective of animals. And I've been working in the environmental space for like, whether working or just growing up my whole life, didn't think parasites were important. That one conversation I had with that person completely changed my view. And I was like, my God, we got to be like saving these guys as well. And like, as what I was making that point, it's like, there's not enough, we're not getting enough information and telling the story. And as like to a scientist's detriment, not putting it out there that's digestible for everyone. Like scientists are very, very smart people, not exactly always the socially smart people. The way, a lot of scientists can speak to another scientist and use all this scientific jargon, and it just goes, a lot of times, sometimes goes straight over my head.
Yeah.
And I think we can be a lot better at portraying the information and out there and get that better. And as I said again, it's like change starts through inspiration, not through instruction. And I think that's the message that we should be like trying to get this information that's in a nice, digestible way. And so, and I'm definitely going on a little bit of a tangent here, but like science is changing. People's way they're getting information is changing. Like, look how much, like when you were at school, did you have any social media? I can't imagine. Like,
I can't
like imagine
late years. I had like MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace or MSN.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, I'm assuming we're probably similar ages. Or
33 I am.
28.
Yeah,
Okay,
5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, there was very little. You weren't going on there and learning about all these things, right?
No.
And so now it's changing.
In the library.
But people these days don't go and read about things. Like,
No.
No one, someone puts out a scientific report. I can guarantee you.
Most people get their information from podcasts. And
Podcasts or social media. I think as scientists, we should be changing to using the platforms where people are going to get that information, right? For centuries, centuries and centuries, people write articles, put it out there. And that was useful. But a lot of science as well now these days goes behind a paywall. Like, you pay to publish in a journal. It's such a weird system. But like, you pay to do the work, then you pay to publish your work, and then you got to pay to access that work. So like, all right, I'm a scientist. I got to find money to pay to fund the project. All right, funded the project, found these cool results. Now I got to write it up. Now I want to go put out this to the public. Now I got to pay this journal to, and it's usually 5,000-6,000, maybe more. I think, I'm not going to name journals, but some journals are like $20,000 to publish in them, or even some of them are like less, like $1,000 or $2,000, maybe a little bit more.
Jesus.
So now I got to find the money from somewhere, because I can't get money. Usually people won't give you money to then want to publish either. Like, it's very because it's just such a big expense sometimes. And so then I got to pay to put it somewhere and put it into that journal, and that journal's then got a paywall. So now if I want to read that paper, or someone else wants to read that paper, they have to pay an extravagant amount usually to access that journal to then read that research.
So every point of activity with these journals is a payment form.
Yeah. Not always. So some journals are now switching to open access. Like that's some journals have always been.
Should be.
Information should be available. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Why are you monopolizing information?
People's greed, creeper. So it's a weird system. And like one of my goals is to turn paramount importance is like, I want that as a science hub where I'll have eventually my own journal, which just is, and have like non-traditional science as well. Like, there's a lot of Indigenous elders that have stories, and, they're not going to be writing them down into a journal, but they will tell it. And you can peer review. So science has to be peer reviewed, right? You have to get someone that's unaffiliated to then review it and make sure that it's legit and correct in the sense. So like, having peer reviewed science, super, super important. Otherwise, we're all just influencers, and we can say whatever our opinions are, and if it's right or wrong, that then gets treated as the truth, which is not always correct. Yeah. So you got to have peer-reviewed science, so the right information is going out there. So
I think you've picked the right avenue for it with podcasting, though, right? Like, social media, like, even the standard opinion can be politicized, and then half the people might not agree with it.
Yeah, but that's how politics should be as well. Is that
correct.
It should be?
Sometimes it's weaponized.
You should get both ends, but it's now and you should get both sides of the scale. But it's kind of gone like so extreme to both sides, and then the middle is where you should be landing. But the middle is now not the normal. But
yeah, it's like far to the right or far to the left.
I just want to get back to.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
My bad.
And I'm not in any place good to talk about politics. It's something that like don't have.
I was just going to say
much
about
clue
industry weaponizing your opinion and pushing it on like an algorithm so a bunch of people could disagree because anger is a factor.
Yeah. Well, some of the videos I've put out, I copped so much hate for. It's been,
same.
It's pretty interesting.
Welcome to podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, so with the journal, we have like non-traditional science, whether it's in video format, audio, and have the standard journal. But like, I was also wanting to be able to pay the reviewers. So the reviewers are the people that review the article or whatever it is. Scientists just do it for free, which is crazy, right? Because you pay to publish there, and then you also pay to access it. But then you got to expected to do it out of love to review the article. And like scientists, we're so busy. Like, I don't know, there's barely any like academic scientists that are writing papers or even just in departments or anything that aren't busy, and they're expected to find the time. So like a lot of reviewers are doing this at like way after hours, like midnight, early hours of the morning, just trying to fit it in, right? So it's a weird system, and then doing it for the love. So then I was like, oh, well, I want to make my journal where I pay the reviewers to review this paper.
Why isn't there a governing validation body?
It's weird. Like, I'm so dangerous to go down random tangents here. We're personals.
I mean,
but
do it. But yeah, you see what I'm saying, right? Like, if there's a body of people that
but this
can
is
review,
globally. This is not just.
I imagine so. Yeah,
this is how it's been like this
how
for centuries.
pharmaceutical companies got away with it for so long.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I don't know about them at all, so I can't comment.
Don't comment
on that.
Don't do it.
Yeah, no,
it's fucked up.
But yeah, I think that science should be a lot more accessible to everyone to read. Like, going back to my point earlier, right? So that's the journal. Like, as I said, peer-reviewed science, extremely important. We got to have that, right? Because that's making sure, like, I can have a theory and write something, and then if I put that out there, and if I'm wrong, well, like, I hope someone picks that up, and then they review it, and it's like, oh, then I get to rethink my idea. There's so many times I've like had an idea or had a theory, tried testing it with probably maybe didn't test it enough, and I was like, oh, this is true, and then someone's come up to me when we looked through it, whatever, and they go, oh, did you think about it could be this factor or this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sort of making it up, sort of, and going, but like you hope that that's how it works, and then you rethink that idea, and then you find the correct answer, and you keep working on it till you get like, oh, this is how this works or whatever. So that's like super important. But then the next stage is like how to convey that out there, because I can guarantee majority of the general public, whether they can access it or not access, they're not reading this paper. Like I rarely read like some like big tangents on Facebook or anything either, or people putting out reports about certain things, and like, I like read the abstract or executive summary of something, and then you hope, I don't want to read all the way through it. So we got to find a better way of conveying that. And so that's why I've also started with like the science communication through podcasting. Mm-hmm. So I'm talking to scientists, like hopefully having the most educated person on a topic to speak about what we're going to be talking about. Mm-hmm. And then also having, because not everyone listens to podcasts either, and I'm assuming the audience that listens to my podcast generally probably have quite a ecological or environmental minded, or they're probably most likely doing the right thing, right? Yeah. So I'm trying to also then reach the other people that potentially aren't doing the right thing. So then I have the video formats of the science and showing it there, because I'm out there catching things like fish, sharks, rays, whatever.
I've seen your content,
and so like that's a lot more engaging, right? Mm-hmm. And then having that like usually I have like a inspirational positive note, like, oh, look how cool this is, whatever. That's that inspiration we were talking about before. I'm not going out there and saying like, this is fucked, or like, this is so bad, we need to do something, you need to do something. I'm going out like showing, like, look how cool this is, look at it. And then you go, oh, well, I'm hoping you go like, oh, no, that is cool, I really like that, I want to help, or I maybe rethink something,
change some thinking,
change. Yeah. And then you can also portray that information, so that paper, that peer-reviewed research that I was talking about, you can relay that in there. So like we've been trying to work on a few, I think we published 4 or 5 papers this year, and then trying to work out ways to then show our results, but in a more engaging and digestible way for everyone.
That's an awesome way to do it, dude. That's an awesome way to do it.
It's a shitload of work, though.
It's a fucking ton of work, dude, but it'd be worth it.
And none of it's paid.
Sure. No. One thing to steel man your argument on paying reviewers, though, if you're pushing back on, say, like, you do X paper on why killing this fish or da-da-da-da, right? Or fishing this fish or anything to do with the estuary. It leaves it open if you're paying someone for industry and companies to pay them more to say something negative rather than reviewing it positive.
If you know who they are.
Oh, right. Okay.
No, it's all like you don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
you never know.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
So how do you know to pay them?
The editor knows.
Oh.
Yeah. So you have like.
So you're offering money to the editor to pay these people.
Yeah. So it's like.
I gotcha.
Like you wrote this paper.
You just
send it to me as an editor.
Man. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and then you just send it off to. If you wrote a paper, you send it to my journal. As an editor, I'd look at it. I can like deny it straight away if it's like, well, this is bullshit. Or not. And then
most of my shit
and
would
then
be
just like, or here you go. It's like, oh no, this looks like he's followed like the scientific method. It's interesting theory, or whatever. And then I go, all right, I'm going to pass this on to this person and this person. You have no idea who they are.
Okay.
They would just reviewer 1, reviewer 2,
right,
and sometimes a reviewer 3.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you don't know. So
I talked before I knew.
Yeah,
I should have done that.
That's the problem with social media and things. Sometimes you talk before you know.
Exactly.
And that's why I was trying to I can't comment on anything where I don't have the information.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I do it too often. But it's entertaining.
Yeah, it is entertaining. For a podcast, it's very entertaining. As a scientist, I've got to be very careful.
So people can catch you at Paramount Importance on Instagram?
Yeah,
YouTube?
I'm trying to be on every channel. We're filming a documentary next week, actually.
What's it called?
Don't know yet. We only just had the meet.
I should probably ask what's it about. What's it about first?
We're filming a BioBlitz. So that's like, it's a hard one to explain, but it's like there's a lot of scientists and researchers and general public, community science, citizen science, they're all coming down to an area to sort of like document what's living in there, how it's working, it's functioning, educate. It's like an amazing project. We've got Indigenous elders as well, talking about the cultural significance, how that's relating to all these different things. And like, it's like a big learning experience and like a way to find and figure out how to conserve an area or preserve an area and all that. And so that's, and then I've just been invited down to film it, and because I'm trying to be that, I guess, that person to relay science out to the general audience. I've sort of that conduit in between the two. I'm going to be out there speaking to these scientists as we're doing the work where we're catching either frogs, fish, animals, talking about the soils. Like there's like huge, like super important or unique ecosystems in our southwest in WA that found nowhere else in the world, function so differently to everywhere, and we know very little about it. Or there's like some very amazing institutions or companies or just organizations that are trying to look after these places, and they just need, for me, it's like I think they need a voice to get out there. So my idea is to sort of like go down, film them, show this, talk about this all cool thing and film it and make a nice piece. So there'll be like a long form documentary wherever that goes. We have no idea yet. And then have like video content reels. So most active on Instagram, but there'll be like, we're on YouTube, TikTok, we're LinkedIn. I've tried being on everything, but at the moment I'm like a one-man show with all the video creation and everything. And I've got a friend that helps me edit the podcast. But even with all the creation, all that, we're like, we're just at the moment we're doing it for love. And it's at the moment it's like working 4 full-time jobs with the 4 different things that I'm doing with like working, teaching, PhD, filming, created content, plus podcasting, all the research that goes in before, after creating that. It's like I do that all in 1 week. And you don't get paid I get paid for working and teaching and get a stipend for the PhD. But apart from that, there's others not. So we're trying to build, and that's what I was talking about before. I want Paramount Importance to be a hub of science where there's the journal, so we have our peer-reviewed science and everything goes out, but have it in non-traditional ways as well, so we can have a broader extent of information that's there, have the relay with the media, with actually like getting that communication and the science and everything out there to inspire and change, and then hopefully have one day be able to have it funded. So at the moment I'm going through the stages of trying to figure out how to make it a non-for-profit, and so people can like donate, and so we can actually like also fund our science, because that's probably the other part, is that like everyone should probably look at like who funds the science sometimes, right? Or who funds the media and things like that. So, you know, if
That's
I can,
a problem.
yeah. So without saying anything too much more, but you know, if we can fund it ourselves, we can really have like, you know, still have it peer review, still have the whole process same, but have a lot more of a standoff view where we like, this is what's happening, or this is how it is. And so we can, and then I want to be able to sponsor other scientists too doing good work, and fund their research and broad. That's the ultimate goal for Paramount. It was never a me thing. It was the whole idea is, bringing everyone together and make a bigger impact as we can. And I don't know, it's been a fun journey so far. It's stressful, but like absolutely loving it. And some opportunities are coming left, right, and center, which is like this, as I said, this filming down there, like it's so cool. Like I love learning. I'm going back out into the wild environments, and like every time growing up as a kid going somewhere, I wanted to know, I wanted to live. Every time I've traveled somewhere, I'm like, what lives there? How does that work? I wanted like that curiosity mind. So like for me, this is like amazing to go out there and speak to people that actually know what's going on. And so, yeah, it's like opportunities like that are so fun.
That is
and
cool
to learn. And then,
and you can highlight and spotlight things that they probably don't see too with science. Right.
Yeah. Well, these are scientists.
Oh, they're scientists.
Yeah.
I thought you were
So
talking about community people.
Oh, well, we are with community people too.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
It's a mission. It's like a citizen science project.
Cool.
This one. But I'd love to do ones with just scientists, or ones with community. Like that's what we're teaching, right? That's what you do. Like I've got the knowledge in these areas. So when we take students out there, it's like, all right, what are we seeing? What's here? What are you noticing? Why is this fish here? And why we did not see it earlier over there? Like all these things, relating those things. But then, you know, you more you learn, right? So you can get so focused on just like that environment in one. But then the more, like I'm finding that the more I'm learning about like plant people, why the plants are living here too. It's like, oh, those plants are here because it's affected by this, but that means that affects this and this affects this. And like, you know, for me, it's like great because I'm like, it feels like I'm now painting a bigger picture, or learning about the bigger picture. Not just like the aquatic environment or the marine environment. It's like everything's connected too. So,
Man. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you. Yeah.
This has been fun.
It has been fun. Yeah. I've never been able to sit on the other side of this mic. So usually it's me doing the interview.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's cool to hear what you're doing and what you've got coming up. I guess thank you for your input so far, and we hope to see more.
Thank you. No, this has been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. It's great to have like different opinions thrown at me, or different ways of thinking about certain topics, and then having to rephrase or rethink something and explain it like from a training perspective for myself, but also like listening to what, you know, a different audience thinks about something.
Yeah,
so
for
it's
sure.
like it's so good.
Yeah, I like highlighting things that maybe people should think about, but probably don't have much exposure to. So that's why I was interested in talking to you, because a lot of people love marine life and love being by the ocean and by Swan River and all these other estuaries, but are they thinking about the health of it? Maybe not.
Well, let's hope that changes.
Let's hope that changes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kurt.
Hey, thank
It's
you.
been fun.